Hi guys, how you doing? Welcome back. We are in 2023 and we start training on Tuesday. So Sunday night, I've set up the session pretty much. So I'm just going to do a quick run through of it though, for everyone's benefit, but maybe a wee bit more so for the beginners or the new starts. So welcome to you guys. We'll see you on Tuesday. We're going to just get stuck in, just the way the nature of the sessions are and the nature of the members. I'm very fortunate to have so many of you guys come back. So the percentage of members that are new is quite small. So I'm keen to just keep the ball rolling and just hit the ground running with the sessions. And so beginners, you'll get thrown into the deep end a wee bit, but don't worry, the session's totally manageable for everyone. It's just a case of pacing yourself, doing what you can, stopping when you need a rest, and then just take it from there. You'll be absolutely fine within a few minutes. The one thing you'll probably struggle with, which is one of the reasons why I'm doing a video, is trying to remember all the exercises initially. Okay, so it won't always be like this, but I decided to go a wee bit old school with today's the first session, and part of it will be basically like a 1 minute circuit of exercises. Just a throwback to like 10 years ago when I used to do it in here. But the session basically is going to be comprised of 3 different sections, and 2 of those sections have only got a couple of exercises in them, so they're quite easy to remember. So we won't demonstrate them, you'll pick it up, you'll get plenty of practice on it on Tuesday. But the circuit, which is a bit different, there's going to be 12 different exercises at it. And again, don't expect you to remember everyone, but I thought I'd just run through some of them with this video, so that you're not coming in completely blind on Tuesday. And same for everyone though, we've not done a lot of the exercises in a while. I've kind of gone back to my roots with some of these, i.e. quite running specific exercises. Some of these, not all of them, some of them focus on rotator cuff work, bit of core stability, stuff like that, stuff that will help you with the weights as well. But it's a bit of a mix, this circuit, really good sort of foundational work to get started. So if you can imagine, there's going to be 12 different exercises around the perimeter of the hall. Okay, so and you can have 2 people at each station. So technically you can have up to 24 people on the perimeter, while there's another, and that's one section, and there's another 2 sections going on as well. So you'll be at each station for 1 minute, and you just have to move to the next station, get as much work done as you can at the minute, and then move on to the next one, okay? So I'm just going to imagine, if you imagine, obviously there's about 4 or 5 of the 12 stations within the view of the camera. So I'm going to go through these 4 or 5, and then I'll take you around. We won't do them all, because some of them are self-explanatory and don't need a lot of demonstrations, like bicep curls, for example. So without taking up any more time, I think I'm just going to get into it. So this station here, there's 2 bands, because there's 2 people each station. It's slightly out of view of the camera, right, but it's just there, right? And then the idea is you just work your way round, like in a big circle, right? So this one's just out of shot. So this exercise, this first one, does a few things at once. It targets the rotator cuff muscles and external rotation of the shoulder, which is a handy wee area to target. But at the same time, we're also kind of trying to work the hamstrings and the core. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your band, put the elbows down on the ground, shoulders down, her head down, should I say. First and foremost, the main focus is we're going to pull this band apart as far as we can, but make sure there's a decent bit of tension in it. If you hold it too wide, with no tension, you want to hold it at a width that is challenging for you to pull it really quite far apart, to about here, okay? And then from there, what you're going to do is your knees will be bent about 45 degrees. What we're looking for you to do here is squeeze your glutes gently to lift your hip up. See that wee movement there? Gently squeeze the glutes, and then that will help to initiate the hip lift, which in turn will help engage your abdominal muscles. So what you're going to do is, we're going to pull that band apart until you feel a decent bit of tension on it. You're just going to hold it there. Then you're going to push the hips up too. Okay, so that's your position there. If you want, beginners, you can just hold this position and just try and focus on pulling the band out while keeping your elbows on the ground. Okay, so you should feel this at the rear part of your shoulder area. If you're doing it properly with enough tension, you might need to play about with it to find the right point to hold it. As I said, if you're holding it too wide, it might be quite easy, so you need to find a point where it's tough and you feel it. If you want, you can progress it by just alternately lifting one heel off the ground, like that, okay? And as you do this, try and focus on keeping the engaging, squeezing your backside muscles, keeping your hips as tall as you can, or as still as you can. You'll notice though, when you focus on one thing, I notice it there, I suddenly reduce the tension in this band. So we still kind of want the primary focus to be pulling this band apart, so that we're targeting the external area of the shoulder. So after a minute, past that's obviously more than a minute, you then go to the next one, it's the mini band walks. This is an exercise that targets the glutes, helps activate them for bigger movements like lunges and squats. You'll put the bands on around here like this. The key to doing this properly is to have your feet facing forward, okay? Keep a sort of shoulder width gap minimum between your feet. Then you're going to try and take a big step, followed by a small step. So this might look a bit daft. If there's a bit of music on, you might feel as though you're dancing to the music, right? But that's the movement there. This is called minivan walks, okay? The key thing to focus on here is making sure that your feet stay straight. So a lot of times folk open the feet out like this and they end up just sort of kicking the band out and like moving it out with their shin and their feet. When really what we're trying to do is target this part of the glute area, okay? So focus on keeping the feet square ahead. And what you can do is you can play about with this. You don't necessarily need to keep your hips flexed. So you can take the hips out of it a wee bit, deflex them, extend them basically, and then try a few versions like this with your hips a bit straighter. The final thing to remember is you need to keep tension on the band. If the tension goes away from the band, it goes away from your glutes. So for example, if you're doing this, right, look, there's no tension. Right? So the goal is to keep a minimum width between the bands and then increase it. So it's a big step, small step, big step, small step, and you should feel the back side. We're then going to go right into a basic sort of squat exercise. A wee bit of challenge though, because we're going to do it with a sandbag out in front. It's called a Zercher squat. And what this will do is it will target your core, back and legs. And what we're looking for, so there's 4 sandbags here, okay, because there's one light, one heavy per person to choose from. What we're looking for though, isn't a full deep squat. Well, if you put the bag on your hands, straighten them out in front of you. Right away, when you straighten your hands, you should feel your core muscles at the front activating here. And then from there, all I want you to do is slowly, really slowly start to squat down until you get to about 90 degrees. Okay, so we want to stop there. So don't want you to, if you can squat lower than this, don't be tempted to go down lower to here. It will become almost at a recovery point, right? So I want you to hold the tension about 90 degrees through the knee. Okay, hold it for maybe 6 or 7 seconds, and then come back up and then repeat. So within one minute, you might only get 3 or 4 repetitions done. Okay, yeah, you're going to move on. The next one, I'll bring this ball. In fact, I won't even bother the ball. Right, there's 2 balls there. Right, you're going to lie back. Again, beginners, don't worry about the ball right now. Over there, when you get to it, you're going to lie flat on your back. Again, this is another exercise to target the hamstrings. Slightly different from the one you did with the band. This time you're going to have your knees straighter. Okay, so squeeze the glutes to initiate the movement. You want your knees slightly bent, a bit there. Okay, squeeze the glutes, tuck the pelvis under to initiate the upward movement. And all I want you to do is hold this position. Okay, hold this position, not loads of knee bend. Okay, this is to target a specific angle in the hamstring, i.e. when you plant your foot down when you run. This is the most vulnerable position for hamstring tears, so we're trying to strengthen it in a specific position. Then from there, if you feel it's not too bad, you can try similarly marching your knee alternately up towards your chest, like so. And if you want to progress, you can take the med ball to add resistance to this exercise and hold the med ball straight above your face, which is really tough. Okay. From there, you're then going to move forward to those 2 mats. I'll just leave it with the mats here, but you're going to do an exercise called a reverse Nordic. So this targets the quads and the hip flexor. Specifically, there's a hip flexor muscle in the quad, okay, and this really sort of hits this quite nicely, as well as stretching out this whole area. So what you're going to do is, again, you're going to kneel up, gently squeeze the glutes to help engage everything through here. Make sure your lower back's not going to end up excessive reaction. And then all you're going to do is slowly lean back until you feel a sort of moderate sort of stretch in this area, and squeeze the glutes to initiate the way back up. Okay, so you're just going to slowly go back until you feel you can't really go back any further until there's a big stretch here, and then forward again. Okay, so I understand this might feel, now this will seem when you're first doing it quite fast paced. You might feel it takes you 20 seconds just to get into position and figure out what you're doing. But don't worry, we're going to be doing these like a lot. So the first time you do them, you'll be like, what the hell am I doing here? What is this? But the more you do them, the more comfortable you'll get with the movements as we start, and then we'll start to transition into different stuff with the weights. Then you're going to go up the stairs. I think there might be one there, but we'll sort it on Tuesday. You're going to do press ups. If you can't do full press ups off the floor, all it asks you to do is put your hands, you'll see them up there when you get to it on the tables, so you're decreasing the range of motion to make it more manageable. There's then bicep curls, there's various dumbbells. Again, we're just wanting to focus on the slow loading phase of the bicep curl. So what we don't want to see is just up and down fast. You can come up as fast as you want, as long as it's, but on the way down, I want you to really focus on controlling the loading phase. Maybe take 3 or 4 seconds on the way down. Then the next one up there I'll just do it here. It's called an all fours drill. So again, it's integrating the core and the shoulder area and the quads a little bit. And what you're going to do is you're basically just going to go into this position here. Okay, you want your knees just below your hip, hands, arms straight, chest forward towards the wood, the floor. Okay, shoulders back and down. So we don't want them to be too rounded. Just push your chest out towards the floor. That usually helps set the scapula, the shoulders back and down. And then all you're going to do is lift your knees off the ground and just try and hold this position. Okay, keep your head looking down. Don't worry if you feel you can't do this for any length of time. Just stop when you need a rest. Okay. At this point, if you want to progress it, you could try tapping opposite hand or opposite shoulder with a hand, like so. But the goal when you do this is to try and keep your hips quite still. You can tell I've not done this in a long time actually. It's hard. So what we don't want to see is like a rotation. Okay, we just want to try and see if you can keep your hips as still as possible, and it will require your core muscles and your lats to work hard to do that. Okay, so we're going through that's most of them actually. We've gone through most of them. There's a few more, but like I said, this is just a sort of general outline of some of the exercises. Up the very back, you may have seen these before, battle ropes. Okay, dead straightforward. When I say straightforward, they're really tough physically, but technically they're not too difficult. Then you've got some ball slams, don't think we need to demonstrate them. And then you've got one more down there. So pretty much there'll be 12 exercises. I've maybe gone through 11, I mentioned 11, in a perimeter format. I'll quickly walk you around it, just so you see what I mean. So that wee one there with the band I started with, so that's there, right? And then you move to here with the mini bands that I showed you. Then you go to what's called the Zercher squat, the sandbags, which I showed you. Then the hamstring march with the optional ball. Reverse Nordics, you could just kneel on those mats. I think there's one here, but it doesn't matter. I'll cover it, make sure we get it Tuesday. Press-ups. So you have 2 people here doing press-ups, and that there. Like I said, if you feel you can't do press-ups off the floor, that's fine. But instead of doing kneeling press-ups on the floor, you could put your hands here. Okay, that will reduce the range, it will make it easier. If that's still really challenging, you think, I can't do that, just put them up higher, reduce the range again, put them on those tops of those tables, and that way you should be able to perform the full movement. You'll get a bit more core activation out of it as well. Okay, then you get bicep curls. So I always say it does sometimes happen, sometimes doesn't, but if you can try and put the dumbbells back where you find them or lift them from, it just keeps them in a perfect wee order, right? So basically, each set of tables has got a pair of each dumbbells for each person who comes to this. So the lightest ones start at 6k. So because these are probably the most common dumbbells, I've put them up there, 6s and 8s. Okay, so there's a pair of 6s and 8s there for one person, and there's a pair of 6s and 8s there for the other person. From the 6s and 8s you go down, and you'll see there's 10s, 12s, 15s, and it's the same here. So you get your 6s, your 8s, your 10s, your 12s, 15s, okay, there's 17s, and there's even a pair of 20s actually. And if you just put them back where you find them, it just keeps it in a nice wee order all the time. All fours drill, that last one I showed you there before I picked this camera up, that's just in this wee area here, okay. Up the back, I mentioned battle ropes. If you didn't know what I'm talking about, you might recognise them now. So they're called battle ropes, right? They'll be anchored through those kettlebells to keep them still, and nice wee fun. Just thought I'd get everyone getting moving, getting a sweat on the first session back after Christmas, you know. Med ball slams. There is one more here, I can't quite remember what it is. We'll get to it. Hamstring walkouts, that's what it is. Okay, so this just gives you a wee rough look at what it looks like when you come in. So that what we just went through was one section. Okay, that was the circuit section. 1 minute circuits. You can have up to 24 people because it's 12 stations, 2 people each station, 24 people, and you're going to go around that twice, okay, for a total of 24 minutes. While you're doing that, the other half of the class, 12 of them could be here, so that's why there's 6 bars there, if you see that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there's 6 platforms there, 6. So there'll be 2 people sharing like a bar and a platform each year. And you guys aren't going to be working on minutes, you guys are just going to work as a wee pair. And what I mean by that is, someone's going to be doing an exercise called a landmine press here. You press it and bring it back. Don't worry, it's fairly straightforward. That's why we're starting with it in week 1. Hard, effective in the triceps and shoulders, but straightforward technically. So one person will be doing maybe about 10 repetitions on the landmine. The other person will be doing 12, maybe 10, 12 reverse lunges off that step. The reason we want you standing on the step and stepping back, on and off. Maybe in fact we'll go that way, right? The reason we're doing that is because basically what we're looking to do is work through an increased range of movement. So if you're standing on the step, it means your knee has got further to travel before it touches the ground. So we're working the glutes, in particular, and the quads through a deeper range, and the ankle for that matter. So that's what we'll be doing there. Okay, but again, we'll just show you that on Tuesday. I don't think. Well, maybe make a wee video after this. We'll see. Right. So that's what you'll be doing there. You'll be doing that for 12 minutes. Okay. So the idea is you'll just go back and forward with your partner for 12 minutes. Take wee rests when you want it. It's a bit less stressed, a bit less rushed than the 1 minute circuits, that one. Okay, and you can add appropriate weights to your current level. So you can start with the bar if you've never done it before. If it feels quite easy, just experiment. Chuck on a 2.5 or a 5 or a 10 or whatever you need, and there's plenty of weights. Okay, and then the last section. There's some pull-up bars there. Okay, you guys, all you're going to be doing these initially is hanging from them. Anyone that can do pull-ups is welcome to attempt some, but at the moment we just want you hanging from them. The goal of that is to basically just open up the chest, open up the shoulders, just try and get a bit of restoration through that area, lengthen, stretch out the lats. Okay, plus working a bit on the grip strength and core engagement. Okay, so I'll maybe do a wee video if we've got time of these, but you'll pick these up. Okay, so there's 4 exercises in this last section. And these are also a minute actually, okay, but we'll go through them. But anyway, I just thought I'd do a rough run through some of the exercises just so that you've got a wee idea of what to expect. Okay, so there's not millions of weights yet, as you can see. There's not squat racks out yet, and it pays to do a wee bit of preparation work for everyone, not even just beginners, to just sort of like touch base with some things that you've maybe not done for a while, core work, and addressing the sort of smaller muscle groups around the shoulder and things like that. Okay guys, so that'll do it. See you Tuesday, and I'm looking forward to it.